Uh, uh, Thank you very much, Dr. Divya and Acharya ji, for inviting me for this important national conference, in fact, on the sustainable development through the higher education. This is something very important because the education institutions are the ones which can really, create a future generation thinking on the sustainable development. They can inculcate those habits, those thinkings, and those processes among the students in the very young age itself. I think this is something very important today. So, as Divya was mentioning, in fact, I was heading the SDGs in Niti Aayog and representing India in the United Nations and other international organizations. So, as you are aware that the Millennium Development Goals were initiated by the United Nations and they were for 15 years from 2000 to 2015. So after the completion of these MDGs, which were 8 in numbers, as you are aware, they were mostly, relating to the poverty, universal primary education, gender, child mortality and health, and also the environment, and also the global partnership. They were the 8. They were initially initiated by the UN. So then UN was discussing that after MDGs, they were discussing about the sustainable development goals, and finally the United Nations Sustainable Development Summit took place in New York in the UN headquarters from 25th to 27th of September, where in fact the heads of the state and from India, Prime Minister of India had participated, and they had in fact all accepted and approved the Sustainable Development Agenda 2030. So the SDGs, next slide please. The SDGs have come into implementation, in fact, from 1st of January 2016. So 1st January 2016 to, it will be up to 2030, that is 15 years. So in fact, the SDGs have been formulated keeping in view the various inputs and experiences of the MDGs at the international level. There were huge consultations for almost 2 years in the globally in the various countries at various places, and also with the various organizations, think tanks, research organizations, etc. And finally, the 17 goals and 169 targets have been in fact agreed upon as a universal agenda for the SDGs. And as I mentioned, that it is basically taking forward the MDGs, expanding them into, much higher level. And all 193 countries who are the member states or the member countries of the UN, they had all agreed to implement this agenda. And mostly it integrates the economic, social, and environmental agenda, basically, which I shall be, talking in the subsequent slides. Next slide, please. Now, in nutshell, these are the 17 SDGs. Details, in fact, be seen on the website of Niti Aayog, on the website of the United Nations. So there are, as under social goals, I have put almost 6 goals. That is SDG 1, which talks about the no poverty. SDG 2, which talks about the zero hunger. SDG talks about the good health and well-being. SDG 4 is about quality education. I think most of the colleges, professors, and the universities will be very concerned about this particularly. SDG 5 is on the gender equality. SDG 6 about the clean water and the sanitation. Then under economic goals, if you say SDG 7 talks about the affordable and clean energy. That is a renewable source of energy, we can say. And SDG 8 talks about the economic growth and the decent work. SDG 9 talks about the industry, infrastructure, innovation, etc. And SDG 10 talks about the reduced inequality. Reduced inequality means there are a lot of inequalities within the country, within the state, interstate, intrastate, or among the various countries. So how do we take action? What kind of policies are required to reduce those inequalities? Inequalities could be in terms of the development, it could be in terms of the payment of wages, in terms of various things it's there. SDG 11 talks about the sustainability. How do we make our cities more sustainable with good infrastructure, SDG 12 talks about a sustainable consumption. As you know, the sustainable consumption is, some countries do consume a lot more, use the resources much more, while there are countries which don't have enough resources to consume. So this talks about that, how do we reduce the excess consumption so that we can, it could be useful to the countries which cannot afford to eat and it can be helped. SDG 13 talks about the climate action. What were the various climatic issues? SDG 14 talks about the life below water, that is our sea, oceans, what's happening to them, are they being harvested, the fish are being harvested, sustainability, how is the quality of water with regard to pollution. You must have heard a lot of oil spills in the water, which creates a lot of damage to the sea life, marine life. So how sustainable our sea or oceans are. SDG 15 talks about life on land, that is terrestrial ecosystem. I mean wild animals. On the earth surface, the forest, etc. I think there is a separate session on sustainable development, and Mr. P.K. Sharma is taking up that session. So then SDG 16 talks about peace, justice, and strong institutions. This is a very important SDGs, that until we bring a peace in the society, peace in the, nationally, internationally, will not able to, devote more energy for the development. So that's why the peace, justice, and strong institutions have been put as one of the SDGs. And SDG 17 is a partnership for the goals. Why SDG 17 is there, partnership? That there are developed countries, there are underdeveloped countries or least developed countries. So as I mentioned in the first slide, that all the 193 countries have agreed to reach a particular, level by 2030. So a lot of responsibilities have been put on the developed countries to help the least developed countries financially or technologically, and also the developing countries, so that every country or every member state of the UN is able to come up to the expected goals what have been set for everyone by 2030. Of course, this conference is basically on driving sustainable development through higher education. I will definitely be talking about 5 to 10 minutes in the end about various aspects, which will be covering the various SDGs, so that it will be basically a food for thought of everyone, what every one of us can contribute, to ensure the sustainability principles. Next. Now, this is basically one slide I wanted to give a little bit idea that how to the shifts from the MDGs to SDGs, how it has evolved. Now, SDGs are very conclusive, that they say about zero poverty, this talk about the zero hunger, this talks about the preventable child deaths and gender violence, etc. Second thing, they are very comprehensive. If you see the targets and the means of implementation of each SDGs, certain targets have been given. So there's 169 targets, but they are very, very comprehensive. They talks about, what is expected to be done. And universality, it is applicable to all 193 countries, whether it's a developed countries, or it's a least developed country. And I mentioned in the beginning that the developed countries have been given more responsibility to do the hand-holding for the developing and the least developed countries, so that they're able to come up at the expected level by 2030. And they are very inclusive. The SDGs, as the main principle in the SDG is leaving no one. A person standing last in the queue should also be taken care of. So this is very, very important, which clearly denotes the shift, or the how we have actually graduated from the MDGs. Next, please. Next slide. Yeah. So this actually slide I am giving you to actually make you understand how we have gone for the national strategy for implementation of SDGs and achieving the targets. In fact, this slide is a very comprehensive slide, which gives the whole gamut of things what we have been doing right from 2016 onwards. First of all, we did the ministries of Government of India, as well as the national programs. It could be central sector schemes, it could be centrally sponsored schemes, whatever the programs in Government of India are there. They have been mapped along with the ministry on each SDG and their targets. After that, the identification of indicators has been done. In fact, I just want to, inform you that the Prime Minister's office had entrusted this responsibility to the Niti Aayog to oversee the implementation of the SDGs in the country, and the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, that is MOSPI, have been given the responsibilities to identify the indicators on which the progress of the SDGs will be measured in the country. So the identification of indicators has been done by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, and they have identified 306 indicators. And these indicators are available in the public domain. These indicators were identified by doing a lot of consultation, in fact, with the various ministries in Government of India, state governments. They did conduct some of the national conferences. They did conduct some of the consultations in the states, and they had put those tentative indicators in the public domain. That they got a lot of feedback from the public, from the international organization, from the state governments, and based on these consultations, finally, they have identified 306 indicators which are available on the website of the MOSPI as well as Niti Aayog. Anybody can see what those indicators are. Then we have done 24 consultations at the national level as well as regional level on each SDGs, where we have invited the concerned central ministries, all the concerned state government departments. Then we have invited the research organization. We have invited the universities, the local governments, I mean the municipal governments, as well as the panchayats. We have done. We have invited, the think tanks and also the civil society organizations. So whatever the various, I think there is some disturbances coming. We have invited, quite a good cross section of the people in for these national consultations. We wanted to have their idea as to what they feel about what is to be done under a particular SDG. Then, dovetailing the national development agenda, we have the national plans. We have with the SDG and their targets. Then meticulous implementation of schemes aligned with SDG targets. As I mentioned, that after mapping of these, various programs of Government of India, we have also started, monitoring them as to how each program is fitting into a particular targets. And subsequently, I'll be mentioning how we are doing the monitoring basically through a national dashboard and outcome-based monitoring. As I mentioned, that I'll be talking a little more. But besides this, when we have also requested all the state governments and the union territory governments in the country, that whatever the program of Government of India is there, besides that, there are many programs which the states are implementing themselves, because states do also collect a lot of tax revenue. They also have their own income besides the transfers from Government of India. So each state, based on their priority, are also taking up their own programs. So what we have is the states that they should dovetail their state programs also along with the SDGs and their target, so that whenever we report the progress of the Sustainable Development Goals of India in the United Nations or any other international organizations, we are able to give a comprehensive picture as to what is being done in the country. For example, I give an example just to make it a little more clear. Like Government of India provides the help to the states for construction of houses, both in rural areas and the urban areas. But besides this, let us say state government of Telangana or government of Andhra Pradesh or many state governments, government of Uttar Pradesh, they are also, assisting a lot of other people, by constructing the houses for them. So whatever the progress is made under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which is being implemented by Government of India, or the houses being constructed by the state governments, so the total progress under that particular sector shall be reported to the United Nations, and this will be the particular achievement under a particular SDG. So that's the region which we have requested the states also in their own programs. Next, please. This is basically giving a snapshot as to what I have already spoken to you. These are a few very important programs, because there are many other programs that under centrally sponsored schemes as central sector schemes, but these are the major programs which are the quite, where a lot of expenditure takes place. So I thought I'll just give a list of some programs like MG Narega, Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Guarantee Program. As you know, this year, besides the 60,000 crores which was provided in the budget of the Ministry of Rural Development, the Government of India, because of the COVID-19 situation and because of lot of migration of labor to areas. They have allotted another 40,000 crores. So about more than 1 lakh crore under this program will go this year for the expenditure. That is the share of Government of India. Besides this, the states are also spending around 10% or sometimes a little more on this program. So you can understand more than 1 lakh crore will be spent during this year under this program itself. And this program will create, the rural employment and also the assets also. The maybe water conservation structures, it could be plantations, it could be anything else of development can be done. It can be used partly for construction of the rural houses, the particular labor component. It can be used for creating the roads, particularly the kacha roads. It can be used, etc. Then National Rural and Urban Livelihood Mission, which creates the kind of employment through the self-help groups in both rural and urban areas. Then Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, as you know that this was a very important program of this present government, where more than 36 crores new accounts have been opened, particularly for the poor people in the various banks. And these are the zero balance accounts, and also they have been provided, the ATM cards. They also have certain kind of insurance against this account. And as you know, that these poor people have deposited more than 1 lakh crore under the various accounts under Jan Dhan Yojana. Then soil health cards, this was a very important program of the government where the farmers have been issued the soil health cards. I'll be giving little more details when I come to the sustainability aspect on this. So they have been given the soil health card, means their soils have been tested. And idea was basically that the farmers keep on applying a lot of urea or NPK fertilizers or other things, but there could be a deficiency of the micronutrients. So that idea is basically that if the farmer know that what is the deficiency in the soil, and if they are able to put those particular fertilizers or micronutrients, then crops and production will be much higher. So this was basically very, very important programs of the Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India. The National Food Security Mission, as you know, the PDS rice or wheat is provided under this program. Almost 80 crore people are covered under this program in India. Health Mission, as you know about the taking care of the health programs, then various, then the National Education Mission, as you are mostly from the education institutions, about this National Education Mission providing the free education at least up to the 14th age. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao program, Save the Girl Child program, as you know, Swachh Bharat Mission, where the toilets have been constructed in both urban and rural areas. As you know, more than 10 crore toilets in the rural areas itself have been constructed under this program. This has been one of the topmost program of the present Prime Minister himself was driving this program. As I just want to tell you that in 2011 census, in fact, the coverage was almost only 33%. By 2014, when this program was initiated, the coverage was around 38%. And now, of course, the ministry says we have covered everything, but almost majority of the areas have been covered under this program, which I'll be discussing little more on this program when it comes to the sustainability aspect. The National Rural Drinking Water Program, so providing the drinking water in the rural areas. Then Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, I talked about the rural housing program. Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, that is rural. More than 1,78,000 habitations have been connected through these rural roads. And in fact, in the tribal areas, the guideline was the 250 houses, and in the plain areas, it is around 500 houses. If they are there in a particular habitations, they are eligible to get this program, the road under the Pradhan Mantri Sadak Yojana. And of course, LWE districts, that will left-wing extremist districts, it was reduced to about 100 houses. Then Pradhan Mantri Yojana, that is providing the irrigation, providing micro irrigation. It could be AIBP, it could be per drop, more crop, it could be those kinds of programs which are related to the irrigation water. Then Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. I think somebody has unmuted his mic. I think it's disturbing. Kindly mute your mic. Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana is basically to provide the cylinders basically to the poor people, basically the BPL families. This program was initiated by the present government and in 2018, and for each connection they were providing the gas stove 1,600 rupees, etc. And they were only the houses were supposed to contribute only a little of money. Then National Mission for a Green India, I think Mr. P.K. Sharma will be talking more on that. I'll be also a little bit talking on this program. So I just wanted to give a little idea. These are the very, very important programs, but these are not the only programs. There are many more programs, I mean, in the government of India. And besides this, on the right side, which I am showing, the state schemes and programs like that, these are national programs, and the state governments have also dovetailed their own programs. And then so that, you know, what is the achievement under a particular SDGs or programs can be known in the country. Next, please. Now, this slide, I just wanted to show you that all SDGs, all the programs are interrelated to each other. Like here, I am giving the example of Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. This Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana is providing the gas cylinder to the BPL families. It is you know, dovetailed. It can be dovetailed with the SDG 3, that is good health and well-being. Why? Because if you are able to provide a clean fuel, to health will be good while cooking the food. And it can be, you know, basically dovetail this program with the gender equality, because it is the women mostly which cook food. And it also, this program can be, you know, dovetail with the SDG 7, that is affordable and clean energy. Because, I mean, we are able to provide the gas cylinder, it means we are able to give the clean energy to a women. And like that, you know, these programs can be, you know, correlated with the various SDGs. This is only an example, and I will show the reverse in the next slide, how a SDG, particular SDG, can be related to the various programs. Next slide. Now, if you see the SDG 3, that is good health and well-being, in the middle you see, it can be, you know, dovetailed, or it can be correlated with the National Health Mission. It can be, integrated with the integrated child development services. Then Mission Indradhanush, that is where we are doing the vaccinations. Then it can be, you know, dovetailed with the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. It can be dovetailed with the Swachh Bharat Mission. How Swachh Bharat Mission? Because if you are able to have a proper sanitation, then definitely the health parameters will be better. I mean, children, as you know, that if the health is there is no proper sanitation, even the development of the children and also gets affected. There are many research findings which I think maybe we can discuss in case somebody has something in mind. So this is how, just two slides I wanted to show how a program, you know, basically related to the various SDGs, or one SDG can be related with the various programs. This is what exactly when we did the mapping, we have done this exercise. The mapping is available of the various SDG targets and the programs. As I mentioned in the beginning, on the website of the NITI Aayog, anybody want to go, they can go to the website of the NITI Aayog, and they see this, you know, there will be icon on SDG, and then they can see the detailed mapping of the various programs that's on the each SDGs. Next, please. Now, this is basically, I have mostly talked about this, but one or two important issues I thought I'll talk about. First, I have talked about a mapping on SDG related target and across ministerial programs. But third point was basically, it also provides a template for scanning the budgets and expenditure and gap analysis of interventions. Because what many states have started doing it, that of course the budget which is being presented to the legislative assemblies, they are not being put up as per the SDGs or SDG wise, but subsequently some of the state governments started scanning the budget, that when we know under a particular program so much budget is there, so they scan the budget and then they are able to clearly say under a particular SDG what kind of a budget is flowing, so that do the analysis. If there is a gap, they can go to their maybe chief minister, maybe ministers, or maybe even the heads of the departments or the principal secretaries, and say that we will not able to achieve a particular target in the SDG if we are because we are short of money, or this is the gap, or it is not only money, maybe other gaps may also be there. So basically, this only provides to help them to understand whether they will be whether they have the enough resources to achieve a particular target. So this is what the idea behind providing this template was. Next, please. Now, Now we have started shifting the focus for localizing the SDGs. Earlier, in fact, when we did these national conferences or even some of the regional consultations we did at various places like Cochin, Guwahati, or many other places which we did on specific issues. But now what we started doing is that basically let us go to the states and at the district level. Many such consultations, discussions have taken place because until unless the people are sensitized at the local level, at the municipal level, at the village level, panchayat level, it will not be possible to, basically achieve the SDGs. In fact, I know MCRHRD Institute itself, they have done many such exercises in Hyderabad when I was there last year or 2018. Many such, conferences, many such consultations, many such training programs. They had conducted a very important training program, aspirational districts, where the people from the various states of the countries came and they stayed there 2-3 days. They did the practical exercises and how, on aspirational districts, how to achieve them, what could be the methodology. So a lot of such discussions took place and practical trainings were given to them. Similarly, on SDGs, every year the MCRHRD Institute organizes the various programs. Basically, the idea is to sensitize the people. And in fact, they do invite the sarpanches, they do invite the municipal bodies there, and they also sensitize to them on various aspects. So this is something very, very important. And of course, we in the Government of India, we also had sensitized the business and industry sector. We had a partnership with the CII. We had undergone MOU with them. And in fact, I was mentioning to them that they should also basically map their own industry on the various SDGs and their targets as to what the industries are contributing, because this is something very important at international level to focus that what is our industry is doing, what kind of employment industries are providing, what kind of a sustainable production they are able to do that, what kind of a various actions or various technologies have been put by them to reduce environmental pollution or discharge of the effluent into the ecosystem. So this is something very important. That's the reason we had also had a lot of discussion on the CII and the various industries, the business sectors, that they should also integrate, and they have also are on having a very good partnership with NITI Aayog and various ministries. Next, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. So this is basically I wanted to show how the various actually basically wings of the country are involved in the SDG implementation. Like aligning the ministry department, this I had discussed in detail, that is the mapping of the programs and the ministries. And in most of the states, in fact, these are the planning departments or planning commissions in some states like Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. They are the actually nodal. Telangana, Mr. Acharya himself, when he was Principal Secretary Planning and Special CS Planning, he himself was leading this from Government of Telangana. And like that, in most of the states, this is basically the planning departments, so Principal Secretaries Planning are leading this process. And each state has either a SDG cell or SDG center. As Divya was just now mentioning, that she's heading the SDG center in Telangana. So they do a lot of work. They sensitize the people at the grassroots level, even at the highest level in the state, to the level of principal secretaries or the heads of the department on the various SDGs. So like that, many states, like Assam has SDG center, Telangana has SDG center, like many states do have, and of course, states do have their SDG cells. Basically, the whole idea is that there is a specific, basically a setup which will take care of and monitor basically the implementation of the sustainable development goals and monitor them properly. In Government of India, of course, NITI Aayog has been coordinating with all the ministries in the states. There is a SDG task force which involves the various ministries of Government of India and the states by rotation. Every year we invite 4 to 5 states for 1 year. They remain part of the SDG task force to get the feedback. They meet regularly and they discuss what's happening in the country, what kind of actions are required to make it more effective. And of course, there is a legislative, assemblies or the parliament is also basically, discussing on the SDGs. Like parliament, I'll be talking about in one of next slides that how the Indian Parliament has discussed the various sustainable development goals in some of the sessions of the parliament. And similarly, some of the states also at the highest level on the initiative of chief ministers, they have also discussed the sustainable development goals in the sessions of their legislative assemblies. The whole idea was that if these things are discussed in the parliament or in the state assemblies, more and more people will understand because they watch the various proceedings. The public representatives will get sensitized to them, and there will be basically a legislative oversight on the implementation of these programs, so that they will, because they are the ultimate the bodies which approve the budgets, at least they will be knowing as to what's happening on the sustained development in the country, and they can also contribute their mind into the whole process. Next, please. Now, this is basically, I wanted to just give a snapshot that these are the various, directly the Parliament of India, in fact, had organized it, like National Women's Legislative Conference on SDGs, it was done. Then BRICS Women's Parliamentary Forum was done at Jaipur on SDGs. Then South Asian Speaker Summit on SDG was done in Indore, and various, development agenda of the SDGs were discussed. In fact, there's a regular, exchange of thoughts on the SDGs by particularly in the South Asian countries. The Lok Sabha Speaker with basically the delegation of the parliamentarians, members of parliament, they visit the various countries, they discuss about the SDGs. Some other countries, their parliamentary committees come and visit India, and there is a lot of exchange of thoughts on the various sustainable development goals. And the whole idea is that we should help each other. And this is something very important. There is a speaker research initiative in the which the Lok Sabha speaker had started. And in fact, in this initiative, the members of parliament are basically sensitized on the sustainable development and various other programs of Government of India, where the key speakers are invited, and they address the members of parliament, and they try to make them aware about the various development taking place in the countries on the development aspects, like on sustainable development goal. I myself had the opportunity to have a discussion in Lok Sabha with the all speakers of the Legislative Assembly, and like that, various such initiatives and regular, such programs are organized in the Lok Sabha, where the members of parliament are sensitized and made aware of it. Next, please. No, this is basically to give an idea how the Niti Aayog has been pushing this agenda. Of course, Niti Aayog had published a volume of best practices which was sent to all the states. It's on the website, and so that the people can learn that what's happening in Rajasthan, what's happening in Karnataka, what's happening in Telangana, Andhra, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, or Mizoram, or Manipur, etc. The whole idea is whatever the best practices we could collect from the state, it was published. Then last year we had published election localization, elections from the local SDGs in the states. This again was shared by the state government, and we had published a volume which was released in the high-level political forum in the United Nations in New York last year at the time of this meeting. And of course, capacity development, institutional arrangements, this process is continuous process. It will continue to go on. Like I mentioned, the Marie Rachenedy Institute itself is doing a lot of training programs, sensitization programs. So this is an ongoing process. Like Marie Rachenedy Institute, many institutes in the country, national level, state level, are doing various programs on the SDGs. And of course, institutional mapping of the capacity development initiatives also was done. That which institute is having what kind of a, basically the expertise, and this was also shared with the states so that they can directly contact them to conduct the various training programs and capacity building programs. Next, please. Next slide. Yeah, this is basically wanted to show that how this whole process of review takes place at the international level. This is something important just to understand. Every year in the month of July, a meeting is done in a conference. You can say it's basically done in New York in the United Nations office. This is called the High-Level Political Forum. United Nations High-Level Political Forum. This is done every year in the July, and where all the countries, all the member states, they do participate. All 193 countries participate in that. But every year, only 40 to 45 countries, present their progress. But all other countries listen, and every country gets their turn. Like 2016, of course, it was the first. The major theme was ensuring that no one is left behind, and all countries had participated in that. Basically, 2017, the specific goals, focus goals were goal 1, 2, 3, 5, 9, 14, and SDG 17. India had also participated in during 2017, and we had presented our progress report and the progress rather in the United Nations, where all the countries were present, and the progress which was on these particular goals were presented was based on the progress of the states and the union government. 2018, the theme was on transformation towards sustainable and resilient cities. Then the focus areas was SDG 6, SDG 7, 11, 15, and 17. And 46 countries had actually presented their reports. Of course, as I mentioned, all the countries will be there, but only 46 countries were given opportunity to present. They are told in advance, so that every country in 4 to 5 years, they will have an opportunity to talk about what's happening in their country. And 2019, last year, the theme was empowering people and ensuring inclusiveness and equality. And the focus SDGs were SDG 4, 8, 10, 13, 16, and 17. And you are seeing that SDG 17 is common every year. Why it is common? Because it is the partnership, basically. SDG 17, because all the member states, all the member countries will be there. So basically, if there are issues, whether the developed countries are able to help the least developed and developing countries, or when the countries do present their basically the VNR report, Voluntary National Review report, so other countries, when they listen to them, so they also learn from them and they do interact with them. Sometimes they do invite in their own countries, like that what's happening in India, can we do something in our country like you have done? So this provides the opportunity. Like I give the example, 2017, when we had presented our report in UN, then there was a cabinet minister from Iran who had seen our various programs which we presented, and then he had a discussion with me for about 1 hour after our presentation, that what's happening in MG Narega, how do you implement the program, what's happening. We are also thinking similar kind of program in Iran, and officially they had invited me in Iran, in fact, and I had about 4 to 5 days interaction with them. I had opportunity to talk to their members of parliament in their parliament house, in universities, Tehran University, and like that. So this basically SDG 17 is the idea is basically the partnership. We learn from each other. We are able to put pressure at the international level on the developed countries about their responsibilities, and also the other countries are to learn that what's happening in X country, Y country, and can we do something in our own country like that. So that is the reason SDG 17 is there every year. And this year also, of course, in this COVID-19 situation also, actually this HLPF is going to take place in the month of July, but this will be in a virtual mode. This message has already come to UN that it will be in virtual mode. The countries who have been listed this year to present their Voluntary National Review report will be able to present their report from their own countries through the online. That's the whole idea. Next, please. Now, this is basically the very important slide where I thought I will spend some time on the sustainability aspect. Basically, because we are talking about driving sustainable development. So here I will, before I go to monitoring aspect, which I will give a snapshot of the monitoring. Another, I think 20 minutes are there for me. I'll be able to finish them by within that time. But here, as you know, India's national determined contributions. In fact, this is what the India has voluntarily agreed, basically to fulfill this commitment. So what it says that under the nationally determined contribution, India has committed to reduce emission intensity per unit of GDP by 33% to 35% by 2030 related to 2000. This is one a very huge commitment India has given. Second, India has said that India plans to create an additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons through additional forest and tree cover. This is another very commitment India has given at the international level. And third one is India aims to achieve 40% of the electric power installed capacity from the fossil fuel by 2030. Now, if you see that the emission intensity reduction, then there is a creation of, basically the carbon sink through the additional forest cover, and also, 40% of the installed capacity of the electricity today from fossil fuel, that is renewable energy. In fact, they directly or indirectly get related to each other. Now, if you see the creation of additional forest cover, in fact, Mr. P.K. Sharma probably will be talking more on that. But I just wanted to say that there is a program which was initiated by the Ministry of Environment and Forest called Green India Mission. The Green India Mission, they have said that there will be additional, afforestation in about 5 million hectare of land, and also improvement of the tree cover in another 5 million hectare. So about roughly 10 million hectare, forest and tree cover, either plantation or the improvement has been initiated on that program. And various programs in the states are being initiated. It could be money coming from Green India Mission, it could be coming from the state budget, it could be from CAMPA funds, it could be coming from national afforestation programs or various other programs. In fact, there are many, externally aided programs through which these activities take place. So the whole idea is that when we are able to create more forest cover, improve the quality of the forest, they are the big carbon sink. And this is something very important, which will reduce the environmental pollution. It will create a better air quality, and also we will be able to create the more forest cover. And moreover, when there is a more tree or forest cover, naturally the improvement in the groundwater also would take place. Now, if you talk about the achievement of the 40% of electric power installed capacity from non-fossil fuel, probably you must be aware that India has taken a target of 165 gigawatt production of the power or the electricity from the non-fossil fuel, out of which 100 gigawatt is from the solar energy, and by this time we have achieved almost 35 gigawatt. Then 60 gigawatt is from wind energy, and we have achieved roughly about 37 gigawatt by this time. And 10 gigawatt is from the small hydro, and we have achieved around almost 4.6%. And 5 gigawatt is from the biomass, and we have almost gone to about 9.8. So if you see such a huge target, 175 gigawatt we have taken. And now you see some of the states like Ladakh. Other day I was in Ladakh before this COVID situation. I had a detailed discussion with the Lieutenant Governor. We had a detailed meeting there. Huge potential of creation of the electricity through the solar power is there, because there is not much of the cloud cover there. There are no rains are there. Quality of sunlight is very, very good there, and there's not the whole huge area is lying there. So the whole thing is that whole of Ladakh can survive. On the solar, and they can give so much solar power to the whole country. Not only that, I'm giving the example of Ladakh only, but if you see, even in Andhra Pradesh itself, because most of you will be knowing, in Kurnool, I know, there's a place called Orvakal, which is around 20 kilometers from Kurnool while going to Nandyal side. About 900 megawatt, I think 100 or 1000 megawatt solar power, plants, the capacity plant has been created there. Like in Anantapur district, I know the wind power, the energy is being produced through the wind power. So like that, these are the few examples I gave because I work in the state, so I know those areas very well. But like that, not only Andhra Pradesh, but many states are taking a lot of actions, in fact, to create the electricity power. I give the example here, one more example. One of my relative in Delhi, he has put this, in fact, solar power on the rooftop of his house, and the electric meter is that it is two-way. That whatever the solar power he produces, it goes to the grid, and whatever he draws from the grid, it is consumption. And believe me, his electricity bill is zero. In fact, rather, his electricity bill is supposed to get some money from the government. So this is how the government of India is also, encouraging the solar powers. You must have seen in a lot of solar water heaters have come. Most of the new buildings are having the solar water heaters. So like that, The whole idea is that whatever we can reduce the burning of the coal, which reduces, which puts a lot of particulate matter in the environment, which puts a lot of carbon in the environment, which is harmful for the health. So if you are able to produce the clean energy by way of, basically those renewable sources like wind energy or the solar energy, I think this is something very important so far the sustainability is concerned. One or two more aspects I was just mentioning to, like soil health card. I told you in 2015 to 17, about 10.74 crore soil health cards were issued in the country. From 2017 to 19, about 11.69 crore soil health cards were issued. The whole idea was that the soil samples were tested from the fields of the farmers. They were told that these are the deficiency in your soil and provide those nutrients or micronutrients so that your production levels go up, rather than always providing the NPK or the urea. So this is again leads to a lot of sustainability. And now we are talking more on providing the organic fertilizers so that the quality of the soil remains good, and it helps in, also, basically for the good health of the people. The organic foods are becoming so popular. As I mentioned to you about the construction of the toilets, like Swachh Bharat Mission, as mentioned that about more than 10 crore toilets have been constructed in the rural areas. In fact, a lot of surveys have been done, and Quality Council of India has done the survey. National Rural Sanitation Survey took place, where it has been seen that what is the percentage of the toilets being used, which have been constructed. Of course, we listen from many people. We can see in the newspapers where some criticism will come that this toilet is not being used, that toilet is not being used. Yes, I am not saying that. But what I'm trying to say, that even if the 70-80% toilets are being used, I'm saying, from that angle, basically, it itself is a huge achievement, which was 33% roughly in 2011, and it was 38% 2014. And now if it is 70%, 80%, itself is a huge achievement. It is not a small achievement. And slowly, in fact, the people are becoming used to, they are getting aware of about that. They are seeing the utility of such toilets on the health. So this is something very important. Like in case of drinking water, I wanted to see you, around 81% of the rural habitations in the country are covered. Which fully covered. Fully covered means where 40 liters per capita per day, what drinking water is being given to the people. And you see, a balance around 19% are partially covered, where it is less than 40 liters LPCD, liter per capita per day. So the question why I'm saying that if we are able to basically reduce the consumption of water reduction, I don't mean that, here I mean to say is we should avoid the wastage of water. I think we can save the water like that, and the people who are not able to get the required quantum of water, at least additional water shall be provided. There are a lot of leakages in the pipelines. If you are able to plug them, then definitely a lot of water saving take place. So like that, these are the various things which are basically help in the sustainability. Like in the energy itself, I have seen the people. We are in the room. The air conditioners are functioning. All fans are on. Lights are on. But if you are able to, when go out, we are able to switch off the fans, switch off the lights. I think it is basically which we are doing this. It leads to sustainability. Some people who are not getting the electricity, this much saving will be useful to that. So like earlier, the TV ad used to come. I think I remember very well when they used to say electricity saved is electricity produced. I think this is very, very true. We are able to save, somebody else is able to use it. So like that, if you see, in fact, as I mentioned about the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, we provide the gas cylinder to the BPL families. So what's happening? Earlier they were using the fuel wood, and fuel wood was so harmful for the health of the women. It was health hazard for not only women, for the children in the family. Now they are able to use clean energy. Definitely the health are good. If health is good, the expenditure on health is less. And if the expenditure on health is less, in fact, they can use those savings, either for the education of the children or for better nutrition or for many other things. So this is how everything get interrelated. I give one more example, something very important. I thought like for the SDG 14, because particularly the coastal states. And in fact, we do the fishing in our oceans. So the potential of the marine fish in India is about 4.4 million tons, and we are able to harvest around 3.94 billion tons marine fish in the country. Now, why I'm saying that? In fact, in India, we are not able to do the deep sea ship, fishing, because of we don't have the the required trawlers which can go to the deep sea for the fishing. We have huge potential in the deep sea. In fact, some of the countries, neighboring countries, they are coming, and those people rather illegally doing the deep sea fishing in the waters of India, particularly I know in the Andamans and those areas. And not only that, it's one more thing is happening when we are not going to the deep sea fishing. Whatever the boats or the trawlers we are using, in fact, when we do the fishing, a lot of bycatch comes along with that. The bycatch means we are able to, they in the nets, they are getting the small fish, or they are getting sometimes, some other, marine species. So what is happening because of that region, the in fact production capacity of the marine resources is going down. So this is quite dangerous. So it's very important to take, to have certain things to think on those lines, how we can do the sustainable use of our various resources. I can go on talking many other things, but because time is not much, another 10 minutes are there, I thought these are the various things I thought how we can think of sustainability aspect, and being the educational institutions, particularly when we can definitely give a good basically awareness and sensitization to our students. One more thing, very simple, that we are producing around 25 million tons of the basically construction demolition waste in the country. And where this whole waste goes, it goes to the water, bodies, like in Hyderabad. So much dumping is done in the Hyderabad city, in the various water bodies, in the ponds. Because I was in the mine irrigation there, I have seen there are more than 500 tanks around Hyderabad, and tanks have been filled up with this construction demolition waste, and a lot of buildings have come there. In fact, they have been encroached upon, and these water bodies were the source of recharge of the groundwater. So we are suffering for the water. And this construction demolition waste can be used to basically again take out the concrete, the iron, the sand, and we can and we are able to recirculate and reuse it. In fact, by taking out these things, like there are many plants in Delhi, I have visited those plants. They are able to take out all these material from the construction demolition waste. So we are able to save our natural resources. They are not going and again cutting those rocks. So this material is being used. So this is how we have to think on those lines. We can sensitize our students, so that they will be, when they use any resource, they will be well aware of it. So anyway, balance things, I think Mr. Sharma will be talking more on that. I thought with relations to the sustainable development goals, I thought I will be talking some few aspects, so that how we are able to think on the sustainability of the various resources in the country as well as globally. Next slide. Next slide, please. This is about the monitoring. I will not talk much. I'll just go, a snapshot I will give. See, this is basically what we are doing. Of course, the MOSPI has prepared the 306 indicators, SDG indicator framework. Next, previous slide, please. Previous slide, please. Yeah. So what happens is the SDGs will be basically monitored on 306, but all this cannot be done every year, because some data is collected once in 2 years or 3 years or 4 years based on the survey. But Niti Aayog has started doing the quick monitoring on some of the priority SDG indicators, at least where we are able to get the data every year. So this is basically the idea, and we do the analytical reports and put in the public domain, sent to the state government, so that the states can know on annual basis as to how their performance is into. Next slide, please. This is the SDG board as a dashboard. It has been developed with the help of United Nations, where the states and the central ministry directly feed the data of the various programs on SDG 1, 2, 3, as I mentioned, that which we did basically the mapping, and directly every time we know the up-to-date information in the country. Each state can compare themselves what's happening in their state vis-a-vis other states. They can compare with the national level, and this is the whole idea is so that there could be a cross-learning, and every time we'll be knowing as to what's the progress sustainable development goals in the country through this dashboard. Next, please. As I was mentioning that in 2018, we did this priority we took this some 62 indicators on which we had, basically seen the performance of each SDG and each state, what's happening. Like these the numbers like SDG 1, 54, SDG 2 is 48, SDG 52, they are out of 100. This is our performance. The red lines are that they are below, the performance is not up to the mark. Yellow is something like average, and green is the good performance. So basically, this was the idea to know ourselves that which SDG we are doing well, we are the medium, where we are not doing well, we are supposed to be. In fact, we have to be a little more proactive. Next. This is state-wise performance on 62 indicators only, union territories, the states. If you see the Himachal, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, they got around 69 marks out of 100. It means they were the three topmost state. Then other states were in the something like a medium category, and three states like Assam, Bihar, and Uttar Pradesh, they were the bottommost. They are in the red category, and the whole idea was that these states compare with other states also happening, and they can learn from each other, and they can, if need be, they can interact with them and also improve their performance. Next, please. Next slide. This is basically we have just a snapshot of what I have shown the previous slide, that we can know which states are in green category or red category, or by just seeing the map, we can know clearly that UP, Bihar, Assam are in the top bottom, on the bottommost, and Himachal and Kerala and Tamil Nadu are green, and balance are somewhere in the between. Next, please. This is each state. I'll not go to the details. They are available on the website of NITI Aayog. You can see each state, each SDG wise, we have done the performance. Like Andhra Pradesh, I give the first example. SDG 1, they were 67, got marks. SDG 2, they got 60. SDG 3, 68, like that. So each state, the whole idea was they can know that which SDGs they are doing good, which SDG they are not doing good. They can, do the introspection and take certain actions so that they can improve their performance. Next slide. These are the balance states. So first and two slides, they show the whole country. Next, please. And this is last year, 2019. We did this index on 100 indicators roughly. In the previous year, it was 62. Last year, it was 100. And you can see this year, no state is in the red category. It means that whatever was shown in 18, in fact, that was a good, basically, a feedback to the states. They improved their performance. I'm not saying that on 100 indicators, we can say 100%. But the whole idea is that at least it helps to understand and bring some kind of a healthy competition among them to judge their own performance. Next, please. This is basically, I have discussed that findings the SDGs, that what the states are doing, how they are, calculating that what is the money available, as when the assembly budget is passed on each programs, they see what is the budget is allotted, then they tally it with their which SDGs, and then they work out what the kind of money is flowing into the particular sustainable development goals. Some of the states like Assam, Haryana, Himachal, Andhra, they did work in that, and after that, many more states have been doing this kind of thing. Next, please. Now, next slide. Next slide. This is my last slide, and I wanted to show this slide. In fact, whenever I make the presentation SDG, I normally show this slide, that how we ourselves can contribute to the SDGs. And each and until each citizen of the country contributes something. If we take a glass of water and we are able to drink it completely fine, but if we are able to drink a half glass and half glass we throw, it means what? We are not looking to the sustainability aspect. The whole idea is everybody, whatever little bit I can contribute into that. I told when we go out of the room, switch off the fan, switch off the lights, or switch off the air conditioner. You can save the electricity. Is again lead to that. So these are the small things we are able to, sensitize the students. In fact, particularly being in the you lead such a big force of the students, and they are the budding minds which you are able to sensitize them. I think they will be very, very responsible citizens, and you, the education institution, will contribute a huge in the contribution they can make in their. So that's what I'm saying, that sensitize, integrate all stakeholders on the SDG agenda. Your students are your stakeholders, maybe your neighbors, maybe others whom you can do that. Facilitate convergence of the schemes, programs, and departments, that which are the departments which can help the students to sensitize them to do something. Focus your own program on relevant SDGs targets, that whatever we do, can we, focus them on some of the SDG targets, so that we can say this is what we are doing towards SDGs. Private partner with private sector and other organization on action on SDGs, like you as a education institutions. You are partnering today with the Multi-dimen Institute. You can partner with many other research organizations. Research programs can be conducted, and on like here in Niti Aayog itself, we get every year the students from the various, like I know Delhi School of Economics, Delhi University, and many students come who take up the certain project on the sustainable development goals. Means a particular goal or particular targets under goal, they take the project, they do some kind of research, they do work on that, and they it helps them also to get sensitized about the sustainable development goals. They go to the various ministries, discuss with them as to what's happening on those programs. So this is how, I mean, the various institutions in Hyderabad or throughout the country, they can partner with the government departments, with the other universities, with the research organization, with the think tanks, and the student exchange program can take place, so that the students are getting sensitive to them, and create champions for SDG your area of action and influence. If you are able to create some of the students as the champions for the SDGs, SDG does not meet all 17 SDGs. Even if one or two goals, save water, save electricity, or like that, or sustainability aspect, I think it will go a long way. So with this, I thank everyone, and for the, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. And once again, thanks to you, Acharya ji, Divya, and Multi-dimen Institute, and the Reddy College, and all the participants. Thank you so much.
Hello participants, if you have any queries, please raise your hand. If you have any queries to ask, please raise your hand.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, can you throw light on how we can integrate SDGs into education? I've just heard your presentation. One you said is mapping SDGs with our activities is one. And what any other suggestions you have in mind in terms of creating courses or curriculum content or any other such dimensions also, sir?
Yes. No, okay. Can I reply?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay, fine. No, so it's a very good question. As I mentioned, that now, since you are in Hyderabad, and like Multi-dimen Institute is conducting every year the program on the SDGs. some of the, I mean, you can have a collaboration with the Marichand Institute, or even the universities can also, run the courses on the SDGs. SDGs means one is the general, you can think of, or certain, specific courses. Like if you feel that you have a very good faculty on water or energy or I should say on the urban planning or maybe rural roads or maybe anything, or maybe environment, maybe climate, maybe marine resources. So maybe some certain things can be, those can be identified, and based on the various targets and goals which are available in the public domain, the course can be designed. In fact, frankly, many states are really looking into that, the expert organization, because we also get a lot of query from the various states that under this particular SDG, whom we can approach, who can conduct the programs. So where what we can happen is that like the programs take place on the various SDG. In fact, some of the national institutes like NIRD PR also does some of the programs. Manage in Hyderabad does a lot of some on the SDG related to agriculture, but it's already general programs on the SDGs. Like in other like in National Fisheries Development Institute is there in Cochin. They do the programs on the fisheries. So like that, maybe some kind of a collaboration would be required by the educational institute based on your own expertise of the faculty, and the programs can be designed. I can assure you that many states will be taken for that. In fact, even this in Bella Vista, our ASCIIs there, they do also conduct some programs on the SDGs. So it's basically the collaboration with these national level, institutes, and also developing your own expertise and the material which you can be useful for conducting the programs, and you can in fact the NITI Aayog will be able to connect you to the various states for those your the programs on the various expertise.
Thank you, sir. Sir, S. Usha Madam is having one question, sir. What is one best way for HEI to satisfy SDG goal?
HEI means what?
Higher education institution.
No, I mentioned you. I know it. I already replied this question. I mean, basically, see, your role would be more important to sensitize the students, one, to, I mean, to develop certain courses, some curriculum, like you do conduct other than the I mean academic courses. Some other courses also are done, short courses where you can have these electives for the students. So maybe one small course can run on the SDGs. Maybe some of the students might like to do that. As I told you, in Delhi, I get a lot of students every year, in the particularly in the summer vacations and in the winter vacations, from the like Delhi School of Economics. A lot of students come. Delhi University, various colleges, a lot of students come in. So we get from the IITs also. In fact, I got some of the students from some of the foreign universities. I got students from UK. From London School of Economics. I had a student from Barcelona. I had some students from Columbia University in British Columbia University. Like that, they do visit, and particularly most of the such, of course, students are Indian students. They are studying there, but they want to come study those SDGs, to talk to the, go to the field, spend some time. Like I give one example to you. One student came to me from I think Delhi School of Economics, and this girl was from Ghaziabad. So she took a project on SDG 6. That SDG 6 talks about the drinking water and sanitation. So what was happening in that, she went to her own village in Ghaziabad district, did conduct this survey, and she gave a report to us saying that what the government is claiming, what the district magistrate is claiming, is not correct. This is what my survey talks about. So she gave a very factual picture. She visited that and gave a small report, and shared that report to the district magistrate of Ghaziabad, shared that report with the Secretary of Sanitation, Government of India, and said this is what is happening. So like your education institutions can, maybe during summer, during other winter vacations, you can do this kind of a, the courses, internship programs you can run on the various SDGs, on various targets. The students can go to the field, can see, and you can apprise the government departments, concerned heads of the department, or you can also give your inputs. That is what's happening in the field, and probably if you take action like this, probably this will be much better, because this will be very good feedback. So naturally, I mean, you can play such a great role. And not only that, as I mentioned, you have such a big force of students who are young minds. If you are able to sensitize them, and if they are able to, I mean, I should say, start, a little more responsibly. I'm not saying they are not responsible, but more responsibility, that how to, use the resources sustainably. Probably it will be a big contribution to the education institution itself.
Sir, may I ask a question?
Yeah. I'm not able to listen to you. There's some problem.
Is it audible, sir?
Yeah, now it's okay.
Yes, sir. You said we can approach for research projects and students can also do some projects, right? So what is the procedure we have to follow for that, and whom do we approach?
No, it's like this. I mentioned to you that there are many internship programs in, which the Ministries departments do offer. Or they don't pay the money to the student as part of their project. They come for about, sometime about 30 to 40 days, or sometime 2 months. And we guide them that this is what actually I tell my own example, because every year 5 to 6 students come to me. Then they sit, I discuss with them which are the areas of your interest. They say X, Y, Z. Then I give the literature to them, go through this, and what you want to do that. And then we facilitate them to go to the field. If need be, we talk to the district magistrate, we talk to the concerned state governments, we send them sometime to the other states also. And then they do the survey, they come up and do reporting to us, and we share those reports to them. In fact, regarding the various projects or the programs, in fact, now I am coordinating with the central universities in the Himalayan state. There are 13 central universities, and they have formed a consortium of universities. I had a meeting with the vice chancellors of all these 13 universities on 27th of the last month. In fact, we have assigned them requested them after discussion with them that 5 topics of which are important for Himalayas. So as a consortium, there is a program in the UGC called STRIDE. In fact, if you go to the Google, STRIDE, STRIDE, there is a huge funding available from SDG for that. But this program should be of national importance, and the education institutions should come together. But individual education institution also can, tap some funds from that. There are within the STRIDE scheme, there is a provision for that. You can approach, like I know the IIT Delhi, IIT Kharagpur, IIT Chennai. I was in part of the sanction committee of the Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation on some of the research projects on the drinking water and sanitation. So like that, many ministries also do offer certain research projects. Niti Aayog itself has certain research grants. And instead, of course, as I told you, UGC has huge grant available with them. So maybe like that, or maybe you can even approach the state governments. Like state governments also do a lot of third-party evaluation on the watersheds or on various programs. You can approach them also. They will be also happy that on third-party evaluation, where you can also, take the help of your students who can go do enumeration. They also get aware and sensitized to the field realities. So like that, I think you can be able to approach them. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, this is Kanak Chakravarti from Tripura University. I'm a research scholar, sir. I want to ask you that, here we are talking about the sustainable development or its goal. But as you know, in recent news, in the northeastern part of India, in Assam, a PSU company is drilling in the national park sector. Okay, and now the whole.
Repeat this. Which company? What you said?
This is, I guess, this is Oil India Limited.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Please go ahead.
So my question is that before planning something like for sustainable development or its goal, we should consider such things.
Actually, your voice got disrupted. I could not listen your question. In fact, can you repeat it? I'm sorry, I could not listen that. There was some disruption.
Yes, sir. My question is that, like, before, we are talking here about this sustainable development, and in another side, this is a government company, like PSU, no? So it is drilling in the national park sector. Like, my question is this: if we should consider such things during our planning for sustainable development, no? So why that was not planned earlier?
I agree with you. I agree with you on these aspects, that it has to be planned in sustainably. I mean, there's no doubt. I don't dispute that. If there is some violation, or there is excess utilization of those resources, say the national park they are drilling and all. Of course, they must have taken the permission from the appropriate authority if it's a government company. So I'm not able to exactly react on this particular thing on the drilling aspect, but yes, in principle, I fully agree with you. It has to be taken, the sustainability has to be taken into consideration. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. Absolutely. I fully agree with you.
So thank you, sir.
Hello.
Yeah.
So there is one more question from S. Naveen Chakravarti. He's asking about National Health Mission. Does it include mental health? Because we have lack of awareness, even stigma, and also shortage of psychologists and psychiatrists.
See, I mean, very specific questions on a particular program, probably I'm not able to react because I don't know the details of each and every program in the country. I can definitely talk in general and National Health Mission. The kind of hospital charges, the insurance is given by the government, and the states are providing the insurance. That's one thing. And shortage of doctors, the paramedics. These are the things everywhere we find it. So now, if you see the COVID-19 situation, what's happening? Of course, if you see the environment has improved a lot. But if you see the pressure on the health infrastructure, is terrible. In fact, there are no beds also on that. So maybe a specific questions on National Health Mission. Probably I'll not able to react to that. Maybe you may go through the guidelines of that. But yes, I mean the sustainability has to be definitely looked into that, and maybe at the appropriate level those issues can be discussed. That's the only thing I can say. Nothing more than that. If
So
anybody wants to react on that, yes, the Acharya or somebody can react on that if you are aware of this about mental health. I am not aware of that.
I think the questions are complete now.
Okay.
So I now, so just before we conclude, I would just like you to in terms of the present pandemic and how they can move sustainably for the next oncoming period. Any specific suggestions if you have?
And, repeat it again. Your voice was disrupted. Repeat once again.
So in the present pandemic scenario, if you can give some suggestions to the higher education institutions on how they can move forward sustainably. Any specific suggestions if possible? I mean, anything for that, at least the short term immediately.
I mean, in fact, frankly, I myself do not know. In fact, I was other day talking to some of the vice chancellors also. I can tell you, central universities, vice chancellors, because even they were discussing about the conducting the examinations by them, finding very difficult admissions for the next session because of this, COVID, maintaining the proper distance and all. So maybe only thing what I can only say that bringing the awareness among the communities, among the society, among the students, and through the students to the families. Probably this is one can be thought of that how to take the precautions during this current pandemic. I mean, that's the only thing I can suggest for the time being, because awareness building probably with this pandemic is something very important everywhere, because number of cases are going up. And definitely, now the situation is we ourselves have to take care that basically to protect ourselves, that taking the maximum precautions, maintaining the social distancing and all. Probably the building awareness could be one a very important thing which the education institutions can definitely play an important role. That's what I think so. And of course, the I think like many education institutions are doing, they are running their own classes in virtual mode, and they are, some of them even are thinking of conducting some kind of a examination in the virtual mode, probably to maintain the distances. Probably this is the only thing happens to me.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir, for the answer.
Okay. Thank you so much.